Hey there guys, what's up? It's Autobot Mike 18 here with another TV episode review slash discussion. Guys, this review is extremely late. It's nearly a week late, and I apologize for that, but as you guys know, I did not get a chance to watch this episode on the day it aired on Sunday because it was the Oscars. And I had to watch the Oscars because I live film. So anyway, guys, I apologize for the fact that this review is going to be posted a day before the next review, the next episode. Anyway, guys, as you know, this is my review for The Walking Dead, the latest episode of The Walking Dead. This is Season 5, Episode 11, The Distance. And this aired Sunday. It is now Saturday, February 28th, nearly a week later. And again, tomorrow the newest episode of The Walking Dead airs. That's called Remember. It's episode 12, and I'm going to be reviewing that tomorrow night. But I'm posting this review now. So the next video I upload is that. So they're going to be back-to-back reviews. So I'm sorry how that turned out, guys. It's just I would have seen and reviewed this episode earlier in the week. But I was really, really, really busy, and I am still very busy. But I got a chance to watch the episode finally today, Saturday. And that's why the review is so late. But nevertheless, I hope some of you guys watch. I'm going to keep the review short, though. I know I usually do like 20-minute long reviews, analyzing each episode and discussing what happens, giving my thoughts on it. But I'm not going to do that for this episode. The episode is almost a week old. So I just basically want to just give you my brief thoughts, summarize the episode, summarize where I think the show is going and what I like, what they're doing, what I don't like, or whatever. And I'll give my rating and everything. But I'm going to keep this quick. I'm going to try to keep it under 15 minutes at best. And we'll see what happens. Hopefully it won't run longer than that. I don't think so. Anyway, guys, so Walking Dead, The Distance. I really liked episode 10, Them. I thought it was, although it was very slow moving, I thought it was a necessary episode because we had just had that episode with Tyrese's fate, and then now we have the group dealing with that, and we hadn't had an episode in a while showing the group members reeling from being affected by somebody's death. And it wasn't just Tyrese, it was also Beth. And I think it was a very needed episode. And not only, it was slow paced, but it did have its exciting moments. It did have a couple surprising things that happened in it. And it had one pretty badass speech by Mr. Rick Grimes. And the ending of that episode was great because it introduced a new character and a possible new problem for this group, who have just gotten over Tyrese's death and Beth's death, and now they got a new problem already. But it may not be a problem, as they say. It may actually be something good. But anyways, you guys know in the end of last episode, this guy, this very mysterious stranger named Aaron, approaches Maggie and Sasha, tells them that he wants to speak with Rick. So they bring him back in this episode, and Rick automatically does not trust him, and does not trust him throughout the entire episode for the most part. And there's a specific reason, and Rick even explains it. I think he explained it to Michonne, I want to say. If he didn't explain it to Michonne, then he explained it to Glenn. He explained it to one of them. And I'm going to get into that. But basically what Aaron wants is he is on like a, I was going to say location scout, but sort of like a mission to, not a mission, a task to find group members, to bring them back to this community that he is a part of. He is on this mission with his friend, or his boyfriend, I should say, Eric, who is shown later on in the episode, and I'll get into their relationship in a moment. So they have, it turns out that they've actually been spying on Rick's group, listening in on them. There's a great scene towards the end of the episode where they're in a car, Rick, Glenn, Michonne, and this Aaron guy, I forget who it was. I think Rick pulls out like a microphone set, and he's like, "Have you been listening to us?" And I was like, okay, creepy, but that's interesting. It was a very interesting sort of like character, sort of like storyline to bring this Aaron guy in, because he's a part of this community, the safe zone known as Alexandria, and apparently the Alexandria safe zone is a major part of the comics from what I've heard. I personally haven't gotten that far yet in the comics. I believe that happens in Compendium 2. I am on Compendium 1 still. I haven't even gotten up to the part where they attack the prison yet, but I'm almost done with the first Compendium. However, I hear nothing but people like saying, I can't wait for them to get to Alexandria. I hear that's an important storyline in the comics. Now, I don't know specifically what's going to be going down in this place, but I do know that this is the start of the introduction of the Alexandria safe zone into the show, because Aaron wants to get this group. He'd been listening to the group. He sees how sort of him and Eric had seen sort of how compassionate they were with each other and how tight of a group they were and how good they worked together. They had been spying on them. They were the ones who left the bottles of water and the note that said "from a friend." And remember, in the middle of the last episode, the group wasn't sure if they should drink it because they didn't know if it was poison or not. And Aaron admits that, and he tells them that they want to audition them for this community that they have, Alexandria, the safe zone. And Rick is against it from the beginning. He punches Aaron in the face early on in the episode. He's not standing for it. And ultimately what Rick's problem is, and I completely 100% agree with him, and I can't help but feel that something bad is going to happen to this place, especially after what happens in the end of the episode. But after all this group has gone through, Rick brings it up. He says the names of the two groups they've been to, the two communities they've been to, and look what happened. They went to both Woodbury and Terminus, and both of them did not end up right. Honestly, I think this group has fared better on their own a little bit, honestly. But you know, they're staying in a barn for the moment. They can't stay there forever. So when you look at it in a sense, Aaron is right. They should go with them to this community. It may be some sort of safe haven. However, Rick is also right. And even Carol makes a note of that, pointing that out at the end of the episode. She says to him, I think directly quoting this, she says, "You're not wrong, but you're right." Or she says something like that. "You're not right, but you're also right." She says something like that, meaning you're right. You're not right in saying we shouldn't try this place, but you're not wrong in looking at what has happened in the past, because something could easily go wrong with this Alexandria place. And that's why Rick's on edge, and he's very he does not trust Aaron. Aaron even knows it, and it's understandable, honestly. So basically, Aaron lets the group know that they have that he has a couple cars, he has an RV, and he tells the group where it is. And in order to, because they don't trust him per se, the group sort of splits up. We get one portion of the group going to look for these cars that Aaron supposedly has, because they still don't know if they should trust him. Another group just leaves the barn and they fear being watched. Rick really doesn't know what could happen. He fears the safety not only of the group, but also of Judith. And there's a really interesting scene between him and Judith involving applesauce. And Rick's scared to give Judith applesauce that Aaron had on him because he feels it may be poison. And Aaron tells Rick, the place where I want to bring you guys, you would never have to worry about Judith crying and alerting any walkers. And I think that honestly did something to Rick. Well, he just looked at him, differently, and I could tell Rick took that to heart, because that honestly is a problem. Judith is, when you look at it, a problem in this apocalypse. I don't mean to sound, mean, but it's true. That's how Judith is. She cries. She can't help that, but it can be a problem for this group. So Rick's got to take all these different factors into consideration. Meanwhile, the group that goes to look for the RV in the cars comes back. They had found it, and they decide to go out at night. Aaron, however, and this is why I still don't 100% trust him, tells the group that he doesn't give them the exact location, keeps refusing and saying, "Here, you got to take this road, I'll tell you when we get there," instead of actually giving Rick the exact directions. So that's putting Rick on edge, still not letting him trust him. So they go out at night. They decide to go out at night to head over to this place. Glenn, Michonne, and Rick are with Aaron in this car, and then the whole rest of the group is in the RV following behind them, and they cross paths with a shitload of walkers, Rick and the guys in the car, and they get separated from the RV guys, the RV part of the group, and they get lost in the woods in this really exciting, really tense scene in the woods. Glenn, Michonne, and Rick are fighting off walkers. Aaron runs off because a flare is seen going off in the distance, and he feels it could be his partner, Eric, who we see briefly in the beginning of the episode, but we don't see him fully till the end, and we don't know of their relationship till the end. So it's a very interesting scene, very exciting moment with Glenn almost gets bit, and it was something we hadn't seen in the last couple episodes on The Walking Dead. It was an exciting moment. It was set at night. It was a little dark in a couple shots, but I think it worked really well, actually. I like that moment. But eventually the group gets they follow they get together. Rick, Aaron, Michonne, and Glenn. They get together in the woods. They meet up after getting separated, and they decide to follow the flare. And they go to where Rick and the gang is. Apparently, they go to where the other group is. Apparently, the other group saw Eric pop that flare. They followed it, thinking it was Aaron and Rick and the others. And then they went to help Eric, who had messed up his ankle or something, so they do help him. And Aaron rushes in and runs over to Eric, and they kiss, and you could tell that they're in a relationship. And I've already seen comments on YouTube of people saying, oh, you got two gay people in the apocalypse. Why are they doing that? What's the problem with that if they're gay? This apocalypse broke out in modern time where there are gay couples, so why couldn't they be a gay couple? Or why couldn't they just be two gay men who met at one point during the apocalypse and now they're in a relationship? I mean, there's nothing left of the world. What's the big deal if The Walking Dead decides to bring in two gay guys? I don't find a problem with that. I mean, that's just how I feel. I support gay rights, but other people feel differently. I think it's nice, doesn't bother me. But I'm interested to see where they're going to go with that. I would like that, and I know they just came into the show, but I want to see a little bit more on this Eric and Aaron. It would be nice to really cement them as two solid characters in the show, to see like a backstory on like how they met or something like that. I think that would be nice. For what I'm hoping in the next couple episodes, but I'm sure they'll do that. If not, then they'll miss a great opportunity. But they could have like one of them talking about like how they met or something, or were they always together before this apocalypse broke out? I don't think it's hinted at in this episode. I don't think so. But yeah, so the rest of the group, the group's all together now, and basically they head to Alexandria in the end of the episode. And the episode ends, they arrive there, and there is a really great shot of Rick sitting in the car, and he just hears the sounds of children laughing and playing past these walls. And for a second, it took me a while to pick up on what was going on per se. I thought it was Rick flashing back to like a day in the park with like Carl or something. Like I didn't realize it because it took me a while because I was like, why is he hearing children? I'm like, that can't be coming from Alexandria, could it be? And I'm like, holy crap, it is. So it sounds like this is a good place, but could that be the writers fooling with you? Could it be them teasing you? I don't know yet. I'm not sure. Anything can happen. But basically, it ends with Rick taking Judith from Carl and saying, "Come on, let's go in." To Judith. It's a very nice moment. Then it cuts to black, and I gotta say, I'm interested to see where they're gonna go with this Alexandria place. Like I said, it's big in the comics, and the finale has been greenlit for a 30-minute finale, a 90-minute finale. Excuse me. So that's gonna be interesting. I'm really interested to see where they're going to go with all of this, this Alexandria. Is it going to be the safe haven that they want, or is Rick going to be right? Because in one part of the episode, towards the end, Rick takes a gun that he has and buries it, or puts it in a blender in this like little mini junkyard of trash, and puts the blender down with the gun inside of it. So similar to what he did when the group went to Terminus, and when he smartly hid the bag of guns before they went into Terminus, and that ended up helping them because they had their weapons. So I agree with Rick for the most part in this episode. I think there were a few scenes where I'm like, he might be overdoing it, but he's on edge. He's got his whole group to think, who he looks at as a family at this point, and he doesn't want to put anybody's life at risk at this point. They've gone through too many communities, and they've had all these bad experiences with the governor, with who else? With the governor, with Terminus, and Rick doesn't want to go down that path again. So I agree with his ideas and his way of thinking, because he's right. What if this is bad for our leading cast? We don't know. It could go wrong. And so yeah, guys, overall, I gotta say I enjoyed the episode. Just again, this was just a video to sum up my thoughts on how I felt. I'm going to give the episode a solid, I'll give it I was going 8.75. I was leaning 9. I'll go 8.75, just a notch below last week's episode. It was a lot more tense and a lot more exciting, but last week's episode I thought was a lot more needed because it was an episode we haven't seen in a while. This was merely just another solid episode of The Walking Dead. There were a few slow moments here or there in this episode, but I like where they're going. They're finally bringing this group to a new place, and it could be a good place that actually has good people in it, unlike Woodbury and unlike Terminus, or completely unlike Terminus. Woodbury had good people, and it was just run by the governor. Terminus, forget about it. They were all cannibals. This place sounds like it has good people, but I think something is going to go wrong that's going to collapse on this Alexandria group and Rick's group because they're going to get involved in this Alexandria safe zone. I'm interested to see where they're going to go with all this. So, guys, what do you think is going to happen for next week's episode? I'm sorry again that I didn't go too far into this episode, but it's old, which is why I didn't have the review longer, and I didn't want to drag things out, and I didn't go too in depth. I basically just, give my thoughts and everything. So, guys, what did you think of episode 11, The Distance? Let me know down below in the comments. And are you looking forward to tomorrow night's episode? Remember, I will be reviewing that tomorrow night for you guys, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.